Greetings of Christ, peace, and love. I'm Bishop Oscar Solis of the Diocese of Salt Lake City in Utah. I'm privileged to have with us one of our seminarians who are aspiring to become future priests. As you all know, vocation is an important component of our life as members of our Catholic faith. The value of vocations is so tremendous, very significant. Without priest, we don't have someone celebrating the Holy Eucharist. And that is why we always treasure the moment that seminarians are with us. And this is an occasion for our community, for the people of God in the Diocese of Salt Lake City, to get to know more of our brothers who are aspiring to become priests and become your pastors and shepherds when they get ordained. So may I introduce you our seminarian, Jose Santana. He hailed from big city they called Logan in the northern part of Utah. And he is on his first year, we call the propedeutic year. Did I pronounce it right, Jose?
Close. Propedeutic.
Pardon my Filipino accent. It sounds like Greek to me, But anyway, so, to begin with, the Holy Father has recently declared a Jubilee year of hope, starting on Christmas Eve. It is, as a Jubilee in our Catholic tradition, is a year of grace. And our Holy Father has made a theme called Pilgrims of Hope. It's a powerful message to a world suffering various tribulations like the impact of war, violence, climate change, polarization. And we are still the effect of COVID-19 is still lingering and people have not moved over and normalized their lives. So the message of hope is very relevant to all the people today. Holy Father emphasized that hope is instilled in our heart. And we know that because there is always some longing and aspirations in our heart for better times, for better things, and other things that we hope for in life. So it's not me we should be talking, but you instead. I would just like, first of all, to introduce yourself a little bit. And I will ask you the next question. Would you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Sure. My name is Jose, as Bishop mentioned earlier. And I grew up in Mexico. And most of my life was in Mexico. I went to school out in Mexico. And in the U.S., I've only been here a few years. But I did enough work beforehand to seminary that I gained a lot of knowledge in different fields.
Wonderful. Now, I mentioned about the Jubilee Year of Hope, So, us personally, what do you hope for in life? What are the things that you hope for yourself, for our church, and for the world?
Well, for me, what I hope for is, I think it's to grow in prayer, just as Pope called it this year, the year of prayer. I think it's very important to enrich ourselves and forming a greater relationship with God, to be able to understand each other and as human beings. I also I feel like it's important to fully experience the mercy of God, just knowing that we have a sacrament of reconciliation, and we can go to any church and receive it, just as the prodigal son did when he returned to his father. Also, I think it's important to grow also in trust. Even when we don't know the future, we don't understand it. We should not be worrying about it or let it create anxiety in us or worry, because God really has control over it.
It's nice to have your personal insight about the importance of prayer, your hope, of a beautiful personal relationship with God. Because if food is for our body, prayer is for our soul, the oxygen of the soul. And I like the way you premise it, and to put first the importance of prayer, your hope, in order to become a prayerful person, a holy person. Some people are afraid to be called to ask them, you want to be holy? They think, no, I don't want to be. But that was the calling of God. And thank you for sharing about that. How about your hope and aspiration for the church and for the world?
I think I will go back to prayer. It's important for the world to unite ourselves, sort of as we unite ourselves with God in prayer. It's also important to have a good communication, and so we can fix, try to fix at least all the problems going on in the world.
Thank you for mentioning that because we're living in a very secularistic world, and materialistic. I would say that people are pushing God away. People are not only negating the existence of God. Catholics also have been grown cold, and people are indifferent to the presence of God. And I'm happy that you highlight that the world, needs the existence of the saving and loving presence of God. He's a game changer, I believe. If we can put back our trust in our awareness of God in our personal life and the world, it will be a better world and we'll be better persons. So thank you about that. You have grown a lot. I noticed that getting to know you in Ridgefield and St. Ephraim when I was doing confirmation and you were in
Yes.
college there. And I jokingly asked you, have you thought of becoming a priest? Because I smelled something fishy when I saw you. And thank God that you responded to the call.
Yes.
When you were growing up, you mentioned about prayer. In our Catholic tradition, we have what you call the heroes, or we call them the saints. In your life, who is your patron saint? And why did you choose him or any of them?
Uh, I have a patron. Her name is Saint Faustina from Poland. The reason why I chose her, why she's my patron, is because when I was in college, never going to college or high school at all, so it was my first time. I was going through difficulties, academical difficulties and spiritual difficulties, and a friend of mine gave me her diary, and I began to read it, and it just gave me the sense of hope, just to see how she was struggling. I had a connection there, and it gave me hope that I can move forward.
You mentioned about Sister Saint Faustina, a very holy lady that opened our hearts to the infinite mercy and compassion of God, especially for sinners. I know you're more holy than me, and that's why I appreciate very much about the divine mercy that Saint Faustina have promoted, especially in the diary. We should be conscious of the mercy of God. It's wonderful for people to understand that God never gets tired of pardoning us, or forgiving us, and so we should always seek the mercy of God. And we have the saints as our inspiration in our spiritual life, and it's wonderful for us to have someone to imitate and to follow with their Christian virtues, and holy life. Now, people would like to know more about our seminarians. So, when you were growing up, what were the examples of faith that helped you choose your journey as a seminarian, one who was aspiring to become a priest?
The first ones are my parents.
Mm-hmm.
They always took me to mass every Sunday, and they encouraged me to be part of the community services or the religion events going on. And they signed me up for catechesis at a young age. I was 8 years old. Did my first communion at 8 years old, and then my confirmation 9 years old. So it was very early on where I started learning a lot from them. Also, my grandmother, she's played a big part. I grew up with her most of my life, my childhood, and just seeing her till this day praying the rosary every day was very, very inspiring to me. Just to see her, she's 90 years old, and she still prays it every day without missing from memory because she doesn't know how to read. So it was an inspiration to me.
Yeah. It's wonderful how you mentioned about family, a home, the examples of faith that you grew up with, reminding all of us that the home is the first domestic church where children learn about God, how to love, and community. This is very important for all Catholics to understand that, we should make home as the home for God and our God. That's very important. And we see the foundation of our faith rooted in our relationship with our parents, with our family, especially now living in a world of polarization and division. What a beautiful to strengthen the spirituality of family where unity is very essential. And unity comes from our relationship with God. So wonderful insight that you have shared that I guess our listeners will be happy to learn from you about the example of faith that strengthened your spirituality up to this point of life as you journey towards a different aspiration of becoming a priest someday. You know, so now I'm going a little bit more deep on your personal life, and spiritual life. Why did you choose to become a priest?
Well, after spending many years working in the workforce,
Mhm.
not feeling fulfilled, having always an emptiness, you know, and growing in a church where I was able to, join retreats, join as a catechesis teacher, explain to children the importance of our faith, and it got my attention of just being part of a community, and to a point where I thought about seminary, and I think the seminary is one of the best place where I thought at least, the seminary is where a place where I can further discern this vocation to see what God wants for me, and how I may grow richer in my faith, and then also like academics too.
Yes. It's so nice you mentioned about the community because the church is a community of faith. People who gather together in order to live their faith, in love, in worship, and in service. And you highlight a very important point, and I'm happy that you incorporated that perspective about community. Because when you become a priest, you'll be the father and the shepherd of a community. You cannot separate yourself from your flock. And it's so nice, what a beautiful dignity and responsibility that God has given to priests, to become shepherds of souls. So I want you to understand how gratifying to know the calling of God, not because of maybe the idea of you are called for something higher, but God called you for something that is lower, to become Christ-like, to humble yourselves for the service of God and for the service of the people He entrusted to your care. So community is a very important aspect. Keep working at that. I don't want to speak so long, but what are the other things that you think people would like to know more about you?
Well, just recently I picked up reading. I wasn't a very good reader, and now that I'm in the seminary, it's something I enjoy very much. I'm reading many books. I'm reading over a fantasy book that a friend gave me, a trilogy, and it's amazing. And just something that I'm enjoying very much to this point. Also, I like to do a lot of outdoors activities like hiking, camping, especially with my siblings back home, where we go ATV riding. It's an amazing time.
Yeah.
And also traveling. I love traveling, especially when I get to visit my father in California or my mother in Mexico, and two little brothers that I have. Just an amazing time, seeing the landscape and the different how it changes from, if you're driving within an hour or two, you have a different landscape, and it's beautiful.
It's wonderful that you have a love for the outdoors. It brought us into our mind the importance of our common home, the environment that our Holy Father emphasized in his letter Laudato Si. The value of God's creation, the gift of God's creation that we should take care. And it is part of the Jubilee year, mentioning about the ecological debt that we have to repay because people have messed up the environment that you're enjoying when you're outdoors. So I hope that all Catholics and all the people of God can value the gift that God has given us, our common home, the environment, to enjoy it in order to see the grandeur and majesty, the footprints and handprints of God in the world of creation. Thank you, Jose, for sharing those insights, and I look forward to getting to know you more. And I bet all our listeners will be more interested in following you on how you continue on in your pursuit of becoming a priest someday. God bless you and more blessings to your journey.
Thank you, Bishop.